All right, we're here with the boys from Snake Canyon, at least two of the boys from Snake Canyon. Gentlemen, introduce yourselves.
Super Morgan, lead vocals, Snake Canyon.
Joe Hogan, lead guitar in Snake Canyon.
Okay, guys, before we get into anything else, how did you guys come to be? Tell us how you guys hooked up and met.
We were probably hanging out at Coney Island High back in mid-90s. Probably
sounds about right.
Playing in some rock bands, and we just kind of bumped into each other through the scene. We can't pinpoint it. I remember seeing his band Roar Fiend, or Gorgon maybe before that, at
right.
Continental. That might have been the first time I seen him.
And you had Supervillain
Yes.
at the time.
Actually, I remember both of those bands at the time, absolutely. So how did you come about to eventually get Vance and AJ and Jerry along in your lineup? Did that just come naturally, or was it like a task finding the right guys for the fit?
I've known Vance for a really long time.
But I invited him to come jam with us one day, strangely out of the blue, at a show at Local 269. Fernando Rosario introduced me to Vance and said, "You should check this guy out on bass." And I said, "Joe, you heard of this guy Vance?" And he's like, "Fuck yeah, let's get him."
Done.
Done. Nice.
Let's see, AJ, that was you?
AJ had a band called Jesus Knievel. And
I didn't know that. That's a great name.
After Jesus Knievel broke up, he was trying to put another project together. And him and I, we'd been getting together with a bass player that he had, and we're writing some songs. That bass player is now in the band Sunlord, this guy Bobby. And, we were getting together and we were working on these tunes, and it really wasn't going anywhere. We didn't have a drummer, and that's what was keeping it from really going.
Right.
And then I was just like, AJ, at the time, we had our first, another guitar player, Jeremy, who started Snake Canyon with us, and he had left, and we were looking for somebody, and I was just like, well, hey, why don't you come check out Snake Canyon? And he was like, well, what does it sound like? And I'm like, it sounds like me. It sounds like the same stuff I'm doing with you right now anyways. So he came down. I think we had him come down to a gig. We had him come down and watch us do a show.
Where was the show at?
It was at the Delancey.
Nice.
That was our first gig.
Yeah. And, we were like, hey, if you like what you see, then, we'll take it from there. And that's pretty much how it went down. He's been with us ever since.
Let me ask you another question, because you brought it up right now. Next question, of course. First off, before we get to it, what are your influences, Morgan?
Musically, Black Sabbath, Kiss, Bad Brains, Clash, Slayer.
That's a nice
The
potpourri.
Beatles, I love the
if you will.
Beatles, actually.
Big
Listen to
Beatles
old
fan.
school hip-hop, reggae. I have a pretty broad spectrum of interests when it comes to music, but everything's got to be like genuine and heavy. Not necessarily heavy like metal, but heavy somehow, where it's got meaning,
Substance?
impact, and substance.
Joe?
Let me see. I would say Van Halen is a huge influence on my playing, and I would like to say that Randy Rhoads is a huge influence too. I don't know if you hear his playing as much in what I do, but when I was coming up as a guitar player, those were the two dudes. That was, what I was all about. Like the first probably 5 years of playing guitar, that was all I've really cared
Joe
about.
brings a more hard rock vibe, and I bring more of like a hardcore vibe,
Yeah,
and we
I can
kind of
see
put
that.
it together, and it
Yeah,
comes
I'm-
out pretty good.
Classic metal rock guy. That's
Yeah.
that's pretty much where.
One of the things I've always loved about this band is that you can tell. I wasn't aware of both of your influences, but there's a crushing melody to Snake Canyon. It's kind of like a friend of mine who I took to the tattoo convention. He saw you guys. He called it a kidney punch, which to this day I still love that analogy. But it was a crushing sense to your melody.
Right. Well, we always say we want to make it heavy and groovy at the same time. That's what it's got to be, heavy for the guys and groovy for the girls, or for both,
As much as we love the heaviest stuff that's out there, I've never been a huge fan of the Cookie Monster style
vocals,
vocal,
dropping to D tuning or anything like that.
Well, we tune all over the place,
Yeah, but not when the fucking strings are hanging off the guitar.
Yeah, that's true. The strings are still on the guitar.
Let's hope so.
So now let me ask you this. Where do you see as the next evolution of Snake Canyon? What's the next level up? Regardless of career, let's talk about music. What's the next level up?
Well, as you know, we have a record that we finished recording.
Which is?
This album back here.
Beautiful.
Self-titled. Snake Canyon. Self-printed, self-published, self-written, self-everything.
Self-mixed, self-produced.
Self-canyon.
The only way to do it these days.
And we decided to go with vinyl because we love vinyl. We collect vinyl. And
it's the only thing I'll spend money on.
yeah, we want something that even if you can't play it, it's
Anybody
a
buy
keepsake.
CDs anymore? I don't know.
Beautiful, beautiful.
And where we go from here, we're writing a new batch of material, and we're just kind of seeing where the new stuff leads us now that we have a steady lineup. You know, because it took us like 2.5 years to get the first record done, and a lot of people came and went in that time, and now it's like, where are we at? What are we gonna do?
So now the lineup is presently in lockdown, and you guys are ready to kick balls in.
Exactly.
Beautiful. Well, gentlemen, I want to thank you both for giving me your time. Any last words?
Yeah, well, we didn't mention Jerry, but we want to give a shout out to Jerry.
Oh, absolutely.
He's our man now, and you know he needs to get some props. And
yeah, man.
Hey, how'd you bring Jerry into the fold? Let's go into
again,
that.
Joe
I
discovered Jerry.
I did some sessions with Jerry years ago. Like I worked at a studio, and he would come in quite often with other people, like he was sitting in on drums, backing them up, whatever. And when we were looking for somebody, I ran into him playing with this band uptown at this really strange little spot, Tobacco Road. And you know, I'm just like, what do you got? You know, do we need to do it again?
No.
Nope. Go right ahead.
You know,
Jerry's
I'm like,
got.
what do you got? How committed are you to this band? And he's like, not really at all. So I'm like, well, you should come down and you know, hear this thing, Snake Canyon, we got going on. So we had him come down, and he's you know, been totally into it.
He locks in like clockwork.
You know,
Seriously,
yeah.
it's almost like a drum machine going on.
It's getting more and more meshed as time goes on.
Yeah.
And the other thing we're looking forward to is working with new management.
IBD Group.
Yes.
Amen. There you
by
go.
design.
Yeah.
And you know, the future looks bright. Joe's got to wear shades.
If that is a segue out, I don't know what is. Well, thank you once more, Morgan, and thank you, Joe, for taking your time with us. Greatly appreciated, gentlemen.
Turn it up, man.